Two. It just muted again. Is it better? Yes, it just muted. Okay. So it was working somewhere.
Yeah, I hear.
Thank you. Okay. Let's keep an eye there, Carol, please, and Carlos, because I won't be able to see it. All right. So this is where we're going to begin today. This is the big topic for today. It's like going to school and there's a new topic. So let us just recall, we are not the physical body. We're connected to it. We're not even inside the physical body. When people say, you're inside the body, we're not. It would be impossible. We're connected multidimensionally. So we are spirits vibrating. Kardec says in the Spirit's book, as if we are like a flame. The spirits explain to Kardec, and he publishes in the Spirit's book. We're a flame vibrating. And we are enveloped by this beautiful body, the perispirit, the spiritual body. That is enveloping us. And it goes on and on after life. From a planet to another, we have a spiritual body that changes, that becomes more ethereal as we evolve, and is very dense when we're not very evolved. When we're thinking every day about money and material things and things that we're making our molecules very dense. So there are spirits who do not have the physical body, and their spirit is so dense that mediums can feel their presence very, very easily. It's very uncomfortable because they are a step away from really being in here in the material plane. The spirits who are more evolved, they are always around us, but we may not feel because we're just in a different vibration, different frequency. But their perispirit is lighter, more ethereal, as Kardec says in the book Genesis. So, how do we go from this life to another life, carrying memories, feelings, experiences? Even if we say, I forgot, it's not true. Because you look at some people and say, I know you. So, where is that memory? It's a new body. As a neuroscientist, we know that the brain has particular uh, areas responsible for memory. And yet, these memories are from another life in another body. Dr. Ian Stevenson at the University of Virginia, way back when, for decades, he realized that we must have a more quintessenced body. We call it perispirit. And that is where the memories are stored. And as he says, we imprint those memories, and he has a particular book titled Where Biology and Reincarnation Intersect, talking about birthmarks, talking about memories that the body has that are totally related to previous lives. Spiritism has been telling us that all along. That spiritual body contains all the memories. Of what? Of what we think, feel, say, and do. Mamma mia, now we're scared. Because it's not only what we do, it's what we think. And we just say, I'm just thinking. Oh no. Thoughts are life. It's life. We're thinking, we're co-creating, it's being printed, and if we keep thinking and think, it's going to manifest.
Not make
It's not making exactly.
get that a lot from people watch violence or bad TV.
Yes. People, John DeRosa say, people watch violence. and we add pornography and 10,000 things that are junk for the soul. And they say, I'm just watching it. Kids say that. But responsible parents will say, it's not just watching, you are actually doing it. Many cartoons are fantastic. Thank God. There are wonderful cartoons nowadays that push us to being friendly, kind, loving, sincere, and honest. But there are 10,000 other ones and games. They're terrible. Oh, they are funny. Like, for example, let's talk about the Minions. I love the movie Despicable Me, one. The other ones, I'm not so sure. But the first one, they were kind of cute. But there were parts in which they were violent. And they became more violent in the other ones. The Minions, they are funny in a violent way. So I'm not so sure this is funny. Because this week, past week, right? The Oscars showed us that it's not funny to be violent. Even if you have your cause, there's no reason for you to be aggressive. And we understand we have these outbursts ourselves, but we need to tame it. And teaching our children daily to go to a video game and allow them to watch things. For example, Barbie for girls, because we talk about boys, but girls as well. Barbie. Yeah, yeah, Barbie's fantastic, her character. The problem is our children are watching that cartoon and there are the bad girls. When is the best age for them to watch it and make sense of it? Because as little as they are, when they watch that cartoon, not necessarily they will focus on Barbie. They sometimes will unconsciously identify themselves with the other characters. And then they think it's valid because it's on TV. They go to school, they replicate what they see on TV, which is already in our mind from previous lives. So we have to observe what we've been talking about, the central themes of our lives, and be very careful. Also, with ourselves. Now we're talking about how we create a beautiful spiritual body that will evolve with us or harm it, creating what we call in Spiritism perispiritual lesions. Are we creating health or disease? So let us go over a little bit what disease is. Disease is this is. Well, in the years of disease, right? Only Jesus never got sick. We can't be proud. Like there are so many people who are like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. No, we're not. It's okay. We get sick, so what? It's part of our humbling experience as humans. It's good to humble ourselves and say, yeah, we get sick, so we learn how to be in harmony again. Disease, as Joana de Angelis says to Divaldo Franco, illnesses, whichever they may be, are states of anomaly within the spirit that are exteriorized onto the physical body. They are necessary redeeming occurrences so the spirit may regain balance in the view of greater life, from where the spirit comes and in which the spirit finds itself. Louise Hay used to say, when you experience any disturbance, before you ask the disease to go away, ask, what are you here to teach me? We need to ask, because if we don't learn it, it's going to come back. And there are people who go, they are obese. Just an example. Cases, real cases. They are obese. They do the bariatric surgery. And then they develop alcoholic behavior. They didn't heal. The body is not the problem. we have to change the mind. The origin of illnesses is in the spirit. The diseases are not the cause, but the consequence of our disturbances. So there's this beautiful understanding in a book by Joana de Angelis, Two Glorious Days, through Divaldo Franco, that says each cell is the bearer of the beginnings of individual consciousness, onto which delicate tissue the evolutionary needs of human are imprinted. So our cells in themselves are the materialization, the product of the energetic mode created by the perispirit. The perispirit then is made of the collective of these cellular consciences. This is by Sueli Schubert in the Spiritist magazine, issue 5. So, question for us: how do diseases happen? Thoughts produced by the spirit are simultaneously transmitted to the areas of sensation, emotion, and action, imprinting their contents onto the mentioned energy cells, which then send them to the physical body. The nature of the thought mental waves will then either yield health or illnesses. But these thoughts are not only for today, about today, previous lives. Sometimes we're sick today, draining disturbances of previous lives. Okay? So it's just so natural. It is for us almost impossible. Lucy, adorable. A baby already making lessons for us, right? Yes. And the perispirit, look, the vital centers, they will imprint those disturbances in the physical body. But rest assured, not all of our disturbances will show up in our life. God is so good that He says, little by little, little by little. This life you can handle this draining. So the disease comes, it's saying draining, draining. But we need to learn, because if we don't learn, what's going to happen? It's going to keep happening. But what are the types of diseases? So we get to the perispiritual lesions. There are what we call spiritual diseases. There are which include two main categories: self-induced spiritual diseases and those that we create with other people, symbiotic diseases, and then a third one that will go into the category that we want, the karmic diseases. Let's go to the first one, self-induced. How do we create imbalances? By our shift in vibration. If I go home and I keep thinking negatively, complaining, in the book No Solar, chapter 6, it's a whole chapter about a precious warning. André Luiz is there, and we're going to know more about André Luiz today. Kara's going to help us. He's there in the spiritual realm. The spirit friend Clarencio, the minister, comes in and asks, how are you doing? You better. And he starts, I'm still feeling this, that, and the other, and then the family. I'm worried about my family, and this, and that, and the other. And then he says, hold your horses. What you're doing now is not helping you. And he's going to tell us that complaining, lamentation, negativity is a disease that creates disturbances. He's discarnated, but he can worsen his own scenario. He didn't know. We're learning. That complaining, when people call us and say, how are you? Unless you are in front of a doctor and say, doctor, I'm feeling this pain. I had an argument with my wife. I'm worried about my finances, with the therapist. But daily, husband comes home And then we start. A friend calls. And everyone we talk, it's always like, oh, a problem after another, after another. We're sick mentally, and that's going to, little by little, create illnesses in the body. And we can create by what we in spiritism we call self-obsession. You know those thoughts, I'm not good enough, we hear daily? I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not lucky enough. Everybody wins but me. Children go to school, come back, say, this is not for me. How many? Oh, my family is not the best. And then these are negative thoughts about ourselves. We're creating our very own obsession. Nobody else. We are doing it ourselves. So what happens when we are in that mode? We absorb those elements. André Luiz is going to say in a book named Mechanisms of Mediumship, in Portuguese, Mecanismos da Mediunidade, as much as the physical body may ingest poisonous food, the perispiritual body may also absorb elements that degrade it, which will be reflected onto the physical cells. So question number one for us, what kind of food are we eating perispiritually? Because you know the perispirit has pores, it absorbs elements that we attract. What are we absorbing? What we're not victims. Because Jesus was surrounded by people who were not balanced, and he was balanced, proving to us something that we don't know yet, but we need to aim at it. It's possible to be around a mess and not be messy inside. It's possible to be around craziness and not go crazy. That's our goal. If we practice a little bit every day. When the dog barks and people are unsettled. Oh, this dog. Hey, hold your horses there. The dog is an opportunity for us to practice this centeredness. The dog is barking and we are praying. And we are blessing the dog with our thoughts instead of cursing the dog. To become pure spirits, we need to master that. That's the least. Huh? This is easy peasy, the dog barking. Think about Jesus. He's trying to do the best, and the guys are trying to, really create a problem for him. And he's still centered. So let us begin with the dog, with the baby, with the child in our lives. We want to rest. When we have little kids, everybody knows. When people say enjoy, yeah, we enjoy. Rest, impossible. Almost impossible. So you need to reinvent ourselves, find a way to rest. I'm saying if you have the child under your care, how do I keep myself centered and in this restful mode, though I am vigilant and caring for another person? I need to learn it because Jesus was never stressed out. He's our guiding model. So our emotions become our thermometer. Because whatever we feel is going to rain on us. So that's number one. Checking what we're feeling. And then the connections. Because we may create what we call symbiotic spiritual diseases through these negative, toxic relationships. Spiritism doesn't use that expression, but we can just bring it to the modern terms. People talk about toxic friendships, relationships, but it may happen. This is what we call obsessions. André Luiz is going to talk about in the book Missionaries of the Light. He repeats in the book Liberation and other books as well, what he calls fluidic infections, Mentor Alexander will talk to us about the medium that is not emotionally educated. It's like a sex addict. And just by flirting in the streets, he's attracting imbalances. He's going to tell us that we are creating mental germs, mental larvae, mental bacteria that can be injected in the mind and the perispiritual body of other people. How do we do it? Through sexual imbalance, hatred, intolerance, addictive behaviors. Friends, in the book Messengers, you see how Andrea Louis' books are phenomenal. They show to us the whole 9 yards of life on earth, how to really be more balanced. We need to read and reread these books every day. Andrea Louis, this is chapter 20, he is volatilizing as if he were flying with friends over the city of Rio de Janeiro. Remember, way before the current Rio de Janeiro city. Now imagine nowadays. I'm saying this could be any city. We're talking about different times on Earth. Things were much calmer then. And they are volatilizing, and he sees some clouds. And he asks, what are those clouds? The clouds of rain? No. The spirits say, they are gigantic bacterial colonies. They float in compact groups, drawn together by affinity. Those are condensations of inferior mental vibrations which are emitted nonstop by some people. Some people want to take a plane, go to Ukraine and help. We can help here. By not creating those mental clouds of bacteria that create diseases for so many people. We can do it in our homes, in our work. Are we being charitable with our thoughts? Or do we go to our workplaces and we may not say anything, but we think bad about that person, the other person, this and that? We're not helping. We're creating this, we are contributing to these manifestations that will create what we see nowadays, the pandemic. Every so many years, 100 years, we have these pandemics that come and say, come on, guys, can you pray? Can you stop this wild thinking and feeling? Can you domesticate your thoughts? Or we get sick. Finally, another way to know how to create health and avoid disease or understand our disease and really go to the healing step is the spiritual pathologies that we create from one life to the next. This is a drawing we created. It's like this. In this life, let's say we don't know how to deal with anger. We're going to most often harm not only, but our heart vital center, the chakra. Then we go to the spiritual realm. The lesion is there. We reincarnate. And instead of recovering, we start creating more illnesses, more lesions. And we'll have to reincarnate as many times as often till one day we heal from within. I know this paragraph is huge. It's intense. But Spiritism is a science. We can't help it. Every now and then we need to bring the heavy-duty science. This is Joana de Angelis through Divaldo Franco explaining. The discharge produced by vile feelings, bad feelings, produces toxins of high hormonal makeup that modify the DNA coding, attaching to it this negative type of mental wave and its disturbing origins. As these fixations are repeated over time, the damage is worsened, thus imposing on us the need for complete behavioral change, starting even in the great beyond before reincarnation. This repairing process is responsible for rebuilding the DNA, the double helix, the two interlacing strands formed by very specific chemical substances, the DNA. So, the cure is not in going through a surgery, taking a medicine, simply. It's within. So we need to go deeply within and heal. Now, from now on, we're going to talk about identifying tools so we can get out. In the book No Solar, André Luiz learns with the spirit friends that the main cause of our disturbance are in these two elements: moral indiscretions and the desire to enjoy life more than others. What are moral indiscretions? They're being so kind, right? Moral indiscretions, it's a wide.
You named a whole bunch of
Yeah,
them already.
yeah. It's when
Like, don't watch poor selection of TV, poor selection of friends.
yeah,
Always being
negative,
negative.
talking bad. Exactly.
Unfortunate how many times we get into this.
When we are not honest, sincere, when we want to take advantage. And now I think the saddest part we have to share is the second one. Especially when we are spiritists. We see somebody buying a new phone. We go home and we start thinking, I need to buy a new phone. Better. They buy a new car and we're like, I need to buy better. And people now talking about vacation. And they're like, oh, I have to travel too. They're traveling. We have to travel too. But we're going to have a better trip. And not only people travel, but they are unkind to share on Facebook, Instagram. And people ask me, well, Vanessa, why is it unkind? Do you think all of your friends are traveling when you're traveling? So why you're showing your pictures? Because you want to be better than others. Because you want to show off. Nobody takes pictures when they are sick, right? But when they are traveling, they do, pretending that the whole world is having a blast. So practicing this humility, enjoy life, but don't need to compete, to show off. I remember this young woman coming to Baltimore. She said, I just got into a car accident again. And I said, what have you done? And she confesses, you know, I travel a lot with my husband. We have a good life. And every time I travel, I post all my pictures. Why do you do that? And she says, I know I'm creating envy around me. So you have the answer already. Enjoy life without trying or pretending to being vulnerable. Because today we're traveling to XYZ locations. Tomorrow we may be in another condition. And it's just pretend. We need to teach our children to not be bragging. We need to learn it ourselves. So then what is social media for? To share the good. But isn't that the good? That's the good for you, but not for all your friends. Share the good that is good for everybody. That is the good we share. But the good is only yours. Keep it to you and only to yourself and the people who are like a party. Enjoy the party amongst yourselves because there are people who are working or who are sick and they are in your network. What are we helping? You think they're there? Oh, I'm here sick in the hospital. Oh, I'm so happy Vanessa is in the whatever it is location. I'm so happy for her. You think people are like that? Of course they're not. So why we're gonna tease it? Being discreet. Jesus, our guide and model, he knew the best part of the universe. He never bragged about it. He said, guys, there are many places that are wonderful. Do not be disturbed. But he never said, sit down, I'm gonna tell you. There is a planet named Jupiter. People there so loving, so caring. I've been there many times. I help them. He never said that. Why? Because we're not supposed to say it. Because we're not supposed to do it. So if we want to heal, we need to tame these two things. We want more? Yes, Andrea Luis has more. And Carol will give us more. Right, Carol?
Right.
Because we want to grow. We want to progress. We want to know what else can we do to really boost our journey in life. So let us call the fantastic Andrea Luis to help us understand what we need probably to revisit or understand. Right, Carol?
Right.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
So, dear friends, now we call upon Andre Lewis himself to share his own journey with us. The depiction you see on the screen is taken from chapter 5 of the book No Solar by Andre Lewis through Chico Xavier. You see there the very Andre Lewis laying down on a hospital bed in the spiritual realm. The higher colonies in the spiritual realm have hospitals in which we can all recover from the very diseases that are draining the perispiritual lesions that we ourselves have created. Andre Lewis learns from the doctor, spirit doctor, Henrique de Luna, that his perispiritual lesions were located in the intestinal area, liver, and kidney. And he also learns that he discarnated prematurely. Why? Because of his own very own moral indiscretion and for his constant desire of enjoying life more than others. So let us discuss a little bit of Andre Lewis' prognosis, diagnosis, so we can see how we can boost eternal health in ourselves. So Andre Lewis, just to remind us, he was in the colony No Solar. This is a colony attached to the crust of the earth, very close to the crust of the earth, where discarnate spirits go when they are still in need of reincarnating for more educational experiences for immortality, like us, like you and I. So let us go back to Andre Lewis' case. We learn from the doctor, Henrique de Luna, that Andre Lewis is classified as a suicide spirit. What? That was his reaction when Henrique de Luna gave him the diagnosis. He was shocked himself because he had cancer and he went through a surgery and it took him 40 days of struggles in the hospital before he discarnated through the disease. So he was shocked to be classified as a suicide spirit. But why was he labeled as such? Because of his own thoughts, words, feelings, attitudes, and actions throughout his life. What were some of them? Overeating and social drinking. How many of us are invited to what we call happy hours? The earth is so far at this moment from where Master Jesus wishes us to be that we call drinking alcohol and therefore hurting our perispiritual and physical bodies altogether happy. There will be a day on the earth, God willing, where we will know that alcohol is poisonous, not only for the physical, but for the perispiritual body as well. Because our cells, as Vanessa has shown us, register everything that we intake. And we are stealing our cells of vitality when we engage in what we generally call happy hour. There will be a day when we will know that these will not be happy hours anymore, and we will be making truly happy choices for ourselves. Happy not in a sense of enjoying ourselves more than others for 5 minutes, but happy in a sense of seeing ourselves as immortal spirits who are here to grow towards eternal qualities, not towards momentary pleasures. So Andre Lewis didn't know that because he wasn't a spiritist back then. So he engaged in what, quote unquote, everybody did. We who are spiritists, who have this knowledge, are being called not to do what, quote unquote, everybody does. And he also really liked enjoying himself, so he overate, causing his cells to overwork, and little by little causing lesions to his physical and perispiritual body. So was he a victim because he had cancer? No, he was the very cause of his own disturbances because he molded them with his thoughts, words, actions, attitudes, and feelings. Why else was Andre Lewis considered a suicide spirit? Because he had many extramarital affairs. And in doing so, he wasted his vitality and he formed spiritual connections with other people that weren't very healthy, that his conscience didn't approve of. So that caused weight to be connected to his spiritual and physical body as well. So little by little, he himself stole his own vitality. Why else was he classified as a suicide spirit? Because of his own inability to manage his anger. He was very good at having anger outbursts. And currently in our society, we still find it normal to have anger outbursts. Oh, we are just letting it out, blowing off some steam. We are driving and we're like, oh, I'm in my car. I can do whatever I want. But now we know that even when we are in our car, one, we are not alone. We always have spirits connected to us, and two, we are forming connections to the other minds that are around us incarnate, and 3, we are hurting ourselves, just like Andre Lewis. It's good to know because now, through this knowledge, we can learn to make better choices. And so, what caused Andre Lewis perispiritual lesions? In the words of the doctor treating him, it was wasted potential by deviating from the pathway of the good. How do we know that Andre Lewis deviated from the pathway of the good? Exactly because of what Vanessa said. The good is the good when it's good for other people, not just us. But Andre Lewis woke up and went to sleep thinking of the good for himself. That's why he deviated from his own reincarnatory plan. He thought so much about himself alone that he caved into his own whims, thoughtlessly destroying his own body. Oh, I can go to a happy hour. Oh, I can go have affairs. I'm a man. I'm gonna prove that I'm a man. I can do whatever I want. That was his attitude. So his choices led him to cultivate the disturbances that caused him to discarnate earlier than predicted. Was he a victim? No, he molded his own dis-ease, his own discarnation, his own reality. Was that just for him? No, this is the rule, the divine law for each and every one of us. We are co-creators. We can co-create destructively or constructively. So today, we can make the choice to cultivate the good inside of us. And if we do, we will be co-creating life also inside of us. And what was Andre Lewis' emotional and spiritual profile? Just so we know, he was reactive rather than responsive. He didn't show that he could listen to others. When he went home to see his wife and children, he was just like, yeah, hi, 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 bye, bye. Gotta do my own thing in my own way. I have my own to-do list, whatever. He was also very impulsive. Whenever he felt triggered, he let the steam out. He didn't know how to be thoughtful, emotional intelligent. Emotionally intelligent. He didn't know how to recognize the impact of his own actions on others. And he was very proud of himself. Oh, I'm a doctor. I have my degrees. I'm good at what I do. What I will do things my way. I will see patients whenever. I'm the king of my own world. He didn't know how to be humble. God was miles and miles away from his life. He thought he was his own God. With all due respect to him, because he has changed a lot already, and he's sharing his knowledge with us so that we can transform ourselves. And it is with this goal in mind that we pass the word back to Vanessa. Thank you, Vanessa.
All right. To finalize, as we're studying how we create our disharmony or our harmony, our health, we're all learning. So to wrap up, let's just go a few more slides just to really secure that we are getting the information from the good spirits that we need. Huh? So back here we are. So back, how can we prevent it? By having an ethical, moral code. We need a reference. We're not the reference. My father used to say, if we are our own reference, the roof is it's on our head. It's very limiting. That's why many people feel suffocated because they don't open. When God is our north, wow, life transforms. Everything is beautiful. Everything, we can seek the good easily. So we need to have a north. And be careful about enjoying life more than others, huh? Enjoy life, yes, because we're supposed to enjoy it. God created the joy of living. We didn't, but not more than others. We don't need it. What happens to people? Okay, let me just go back a step. To help us with these two things, we're going to give some cases of when we create lesions in our perispirit that will be draining diseases. In another book named Laws of Love, Leis de Amor in Portuguese, Emmanuel, through two mediums, in beautiful, short 8 chapters, questions and answers, very briefly, he talks about this, and we brought to you in a diagram. He talks about people who are bad influencers. There are many nowadays. Huh? What's going to happen to them? Are they going to create a lesion to them? Yeah. Where? They're going to create a lesion in their vocal and hearing systems. So our kids are seeing all this, and we're seeing it as well. People go to TikTok. Good things happen there. We're learning great things. We're expediting our learning. We need to be careful. The other day, my daughter was showing a baker, a wonderful baker in California, and we replicate some of her recipes. But one day, she was showing, she's starting this new thing, testing gadgets, etc. And then she has one episode, she says, "Mommy, look at this." She wanted to give a gift to a friend. It was the friend's birthday. Of course, she's being paid by a flower company to send flowers to her friend. What does she do? She orders 100 bouquets of flowers to be delivered to her friend. In 15 minutes, we're watching, and I watched. Okay, it's fine. Then, what do you do with those flowers? I asked my daughter. Okay, it's beautiful. But first, what do you do with those 100 bouquets? She counted like 30 some thousand. I don't know. She said the number. I don't know how many flowers in a bouquet she had. Thousands of flowers. What do you do with the flowers? You can't replant because they're roses. You can't replant. And if you did, where would you? Because she's not a farmer. So what do you do with the flowers? And then she said, "Yeah, mommy, but it's fun." I said, "But," and then she didn't even have space. Oh, of course, she has a huge house. But what do you do? Is this teaching something good? We must seek the good, right? Okay, she's kind, she's loving. We know. But is it something to be emulated? No. Now our kids are under this huge thing, unboxing things. And they're like, oh, and they don't care anymore about the toy inside, but the pleasure of unboxing. And then we watch The Home Edit on Netflix. New season, new episodes, good to watch. To learn how to stay organized, because the mentors at the SSVA say, if you are not organized, if you're messy, rarely you're going to be healthy. Rarely. You have to be organized. So it's great. Those shows are wonderful, teaching us new skills and the pleasure of having everything in place, not hoarding. Because in America, everything is cheap, everything is easy, And when we least expect, our homes become a mess. And there we are accumulating disharmony. So these people are not helping us. But we pray for them. We think ourselves, am I being a bad influence in my family's life? Because we are influencers as well. We may not have millions of followers, but in our home, in our family connections, in our work connections, in our neighborhood, we are influenced. If neighbors pass by and see that our garden is messy, we're influencing them. We're not being a positive influence because we're saying, I don't care about my home. I don't care about my things. We're influencing negatively the neighborhood. So we need to think whether or not we're being bad influencers. Misusing our intelligence. Intellectuals who misuse their intelligence, creating bombs, creating plots against other people, they are creating lesions in their cerebral pathways. And then they reincarnate with problems. Artists. We listen to the music nowadays, it's almost a joke. What's happening? We're corrupting art. And then we're just creating illnesses and mutilations in our spiritual body. Next life, we're doomed, physically speaking. Observe your child's drawings, because that's their mind portraying the colors they use, the types of drawings. That's their mental life. And what about us? What kind of art do I like? You have a painting that is all red. Red is not a vibration that is very elevated. So we need to learn, even to support artists that are adding, because then we're co-responsible for their failure. What about people who are sex addicts? And people think sex addicts are only Hugh Hefner, who discarnated. And now we know the 10,000 stories that are scary of the Playboy Mansion, right? Scary. They were using all these drugs, being forced into drugs to have these orgies, etc. But it's not only them, it's us. We don't need to have physical people to be a sex addict. Your phone, internet, that's it. If every day I need to see somebody semi-naked, men and women, if I need to see it, I have this urge and I need to flirt with everybody I see. And André Luiz shows to us in the book In the Domains of Mediumship. This guy just walks by and he flirts very quickly, right? With two women in the street. Just flirting, like nothing else. And we think it's like casual during the night. André Luiz shows. They go visit the guy. The two women didn't have his physical address. They were connected. They found him. He was entangled in the very women whom he exchanged vibrations. And then we're like, I don't know why my life is stuck. Well, welcome to your own choices. Next, we're going to create lesions that will derail into reproductive inhibitions. We can't have children, have obstacles, or have cancer, or even epilepsy. Emmanuel's words, not mine. Muscular dystrophy, neurodegenerative diseases. A big one we need to talk about. Our moral indiscretion, to say the least, of abortion. That's moral indiscretion. Everything we're talking about, moral indiscretions that will lead us to cancer. because that is a major lesion in our perispirit.
Why you see so many women with
Yeah, possibly. If not in this life, in previous life. So we think if that happens to us, we say, thank you, God, that I am draining those disturbances. Our perispirit's becoming prettier, right? But if I have a choice today, I won't make it anymore. The other day, a friend was telling me, she's not a spiritist, and she said, but Vanessa, it's my body, it's my choice. I agree with you, but choose life. But my life is going to change. I know. I know. Tell me about it. It really changes. But we need that change to be better people. Yes.
Okay, we talked about the woman. What about the man's responsibility?
Beautiful. Paula is asking, beautiful question. What about the man? You're right. In the book Sex and Destiny, Brother Felix says that those men are co-responsible. No wonder we see a lot of prostate cancer coming along because of our moral indiscretions. Sometimes the girl wants the baby and we say, I don't want it. Or she already knows that we don't want it and then she decides because she doesn't on her own. But we are at fault. And for everyone who is thinking, oh no, I wouldn't do it today, but I did it. What to do? Mary Magdalene. I wish we had the Brazilian song in Portuguese, Madalena. Oh, Madalena. Because Mary Magdalene is our reference in that regard. She went through that route in so many ways. But she showed to us that when we want to do the right, boom, we do. We don't have to be sick to heal. As Jesus said, love covers a multitude of sins. We need to learn to love. To love. So if we went through the route of abortion now, let us not only have our children, but help other people's children as well. Sometimes being a grandfather, grandmother, a loving, caring, because nowadays we see grandparents being so selfish. I've already created my children. Now it's my turn. I'm going to relax and retire and be on my own. Yeah, I can visit you, but you know. And then I ask, did you really care for your children? Because you put them in daycare from day 2. Or the babysitter was already there day 1, because I know some cases. The mother told me, my child was being born and the babysitter was already there. Looked at her and said, you know, you better find a connection. She told me that. Find a connection because next week I'm back to work. So did you really care for your children? No, you didn't. And then we have another turn. God says, now you're grandfather, grandmother, and we're still escaping. So what happens if we want to escape? God is so good that's going to say, you better drain all those disturbances before you go back to the spiritual realm, because if you go back to the spiritual realm the way you are, you may be in trouble for centuries. So diseases come before we discarnate as a blessing. To really, really seal with a golden key all that we're learning. As Carol mentioned, Andrea Lewis, lack of emotional management. Emmanuel, in the book Loss of Love, he says that we create Pathologies for the soul with these 5 elements emotionally, feeling sorrows, resentment, despair, sustaining frictions with people, in our thoughts, mental battles, irritation. The other day, somebody said, Vanessa. And the woman was so triggered that I said, oh my gosh, we need to find a way to calm her down. Because she was like, if next election in the US, ex-president comes back, I'm going to another country. And she was fired up and she was enraged. She was so irritated that I was like, my goodness, calm this woman down immediately. It's like a mad dog. Shh. Listen. Okay. Don't say anything. Pray in our minds. You should just despair. No. Resentment with a president. Oh my Lord. For goodness sakes, we have so many people in our lives. You have to add one more to the resentment list. A president. Just pray for the president. Crazy or not, if you don't like, if you disagree, you pray. Irritation, creating vibrations that are so rough. He says to us that the crisis of our thinking, those emotions will create mental injuries and then pathological processes, diseases. So we need to hug the baby. Right? That's what we need to do. We're not well, think of ourselves as a baby, like baby Lucy, and then go there like a caring father with yourself. Calm yourself down to enhance our health. Precisely, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are good, your whole body will be full of light. If your eyes are bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? What does this mean? Jesus' words in Matthew chapter 6, verses 22 to 23. Let our mind have the remedy. The mind is more powerful to install diseases and disharmony than all bacteria and viruses, says Emmanuel. So I think, oh my gosh, was I irritated? Was I upset? Was I resented? I need to calm myself. Don't say to yourself, that's how I am. No, 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 you're a child of God. When we say that, we're telling God he didn't know what he did when he created us. The best way to praise God, to worship God, is being very caring for us and others. And we say, yes, I was irritated. I was resentful. I was mad. But now I know better. I'm going to pray. I'm going to do visualizations, visualizing the good. And next time I'm challenged in that same manner, I'll find a new response as Kara brought to us. Instead of reacting, I will be responsive, but not in a reactive way. I'll be thoughtful instead of impulsive. And I'll be humble because at the end of the day, friends, today we're here when we least expect our lives change. And what can we do? But to surrender to a new beginning, to humble ourselves. Spiritism is so empowering. Today, we're stronger than when we came here today. Because now we know more, and now we can practice the loving kindness that we are made for. We have so much to share, but now it's our pastor's turn. Still, we're doing the spiritual passes, but that's fantastic because the good spirits have all the remedies that we need. We're going to stay where we are because we have friends on the internet. We're going to play the spiritual passes for everybody who is there and us here. And at the end, we'll give the bottled water with the remedies that the good spirits may put in. We don't need to open the cap for them to put anything in. Okay? We don't. And if you have any question at the very end, we can certainly talk more one-on-one. So let me just open. Yes, thank you, Tony. Check this out. Thank you. Because I think I changed something.
Maybe the message I read in the beginning would be more appropriate now.
Oh, yes. Persevere and press
Press
on, right? Yeah, let's see now, okay? Hold on a second. Let me just... Is it? Is what? I'll share the audio to make sure.
Welcome to the Virtual Passes Room. Emmanuel, the spirit mentor of Chico Xavier, once stated that thought is life. Thus, we can create the healing mental state right here and now. In preparation for the virtual passes, we would kindly recommend the following. Be certain that you have a real need to receive passes. Do not use the room simply out of curiosity. Casual visits to the room will negate its future benefits when needed. When using the room, have gratitude and show respect as you would when visiting a physical spiritist center. During the passes, silently evoke God's protection as well as Jesus. Also pray to your guardian angel. Concentrate on positive thoughts, thereby avoiding negative ones. Breathe deeply, slowly, calmly, and confidently. Always be ready to pray. Let us begin this passes session by praying as our guide and model Jesus Christ has taught us. Our Father who is in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Now let us feel that small points of suffering, bitterness, sadness, anger, deception disappear from your mind, not to return. Like aged leaves that are shed from trees, let go of those feelings no longer serve you, and gently, but most assuredly, discard them. Let the wind of life carry them so far away that they are unable to return and create their negative link. Little by little, your emotional tree sheds its negative feelings, becoming clean and ready for its renovation. Without the weight of those dead leaves, you feel lighter and you're able to feel the gentle water of life now abundantly falling onto your physical body, spiritual body, and soul. This water cleans, disinfects, purifies, deconstructs, and tones all the cells of your body. Nothing can escape its renewing action. At the same time, it is cleaning and moisturizing your body. This crystalline liquid satiates your spirit, eliminating affliction, anxiety, and unrest. Now, within your heart resides a sense of calmness, cleanness, and well-being. Then, the light of God emerges to warm and snuggle you, while carrying rays penetrate your whole body and tenderly embrace you like a maternal hug, which brings comfort and safety to your heart. At this moment, great love warms your heart and removes the coldness resulting from any affliction. Now, your mind contains only feelings of joy and confidence. You are at peace and enveloped by a protective warmth. The heart of life offers you perfumed flowers. Then, with grateful and happy soul, you gather their colorful petals that penetrate your whole being, restoring feelings and emotions of happiness, hope, faith, courage, and determination, helping you to regain the willingness to live. In addition to the perfume and color, nature also shares with you the best it has to offer, an infinite capacity for restoring its sublime beauty, even when struck by evil that appears to enact its end. Divine hands full of light gently overflow and spill all over you like a golden waterfall of unspeakable and unknown essence. Little by little, your soul is impregnated with sweet happiness, allowing an inner renewal of the most noble and elevated purposes that are of progress and accomplishment. Showered by this sublime power, you deeply surrender to the donor of light, absorbing energy that now gives your life a new and blessed impulse. You called me, and here I am. What do you want from me today? What do you need? Ask my son. Ask my daughter. I am here to help. Now, ask your special request to Jesus, enumerating the problems and difficulties that afflict you. I listen to your request with love and attention. Now I count on your faith and trust in me to solve your problems. Go in peace. I am watching over you, and I will not lose sight of you. Believe in God and also believe in me. I will be with you every day until the end. Be happy. Many blessings.
Right. Thank you, friends, for being here. And